What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the AFC podcast. I am your host, Phil Capadora. I'm the founder of the Astoria Filmmakers Club and the executive director of the Triborough Film Festival. We're only about maybe 6 or 7 weeks out, and tickets are selling. We're right on schedule. We have a fantastic lineup this year. Season 3 is booming right now. And one of our contestants during the film festival is Tom Cavanaugh, and he created the film The OGs that's going to be playing at the Zucker Theater on January 25th. I think you're either the 1 o'clock segment or you're the 3 o'clock segment.
Yeah, I think it's the 1 o'clock. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me, man. It's really appreciate it.
I'm doing good, man. Just warming up. I had 3 cups of coffee, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm almost there.
You're juiced. You ready to go?
So what's going on, man?
Nothing. Just trying to wrap up the 2024 festival circuits, and take it back home and start lining up the projects for next year and getting ready for the next festival. You're my first festival of 2025. It looks like.
Nice.
So, be a great kickoff. Yeah, can't wait. Really excited about this.
I'm really glad you joined us, man. Do you remember maybe how you heard about us?
Film Freeway. I'm always on Film Freeway. I go on there every day, checking out what looks good, what opportunities are there, and I have a theory. Like a lot of my friends will be like, "Well, you do a lot of festivals." I'm like, "Yeah, but I do the festivals that I think or feel I'm going to have an experience with or get something out of, or I target them intentionally. Like if you're in driving distance, that's a big plus right now." If the venue is great, I love going to great venues. If there's a community involved, the community that rocks because you get to meet so many more people. So, I try to see how the festival is going to work for me. And then when I read up about this, and dude, I love that area. I love Astoria. So, got to check it out.
Where are you from originally?
Edison, New Jersey. Lived there until 2004. Lived in Los Angeles for 15 years and then moved right back here. My parents passed and moved back just coincidentally right before the pandemic because we had the house, my brother and I. And it was a good move because I ended up being in lockdown in a house rather than being in an apartment in the valley. So it worked out great, yeah. So, but while here, explored. I didn't know how to edit. I was writing only. And I didn't know how to edit. So when the government gave you that extra $1,500 check, I bought an iMac and Final Cut, and I learned how to edit during the pandemic. And that's when it really kicked off more like now I got to make another film fast. It's just, it's addiction. It's great. It's a good addiction.
Well, it seems like you turned a piece of coal into a diamond there.
Absolutely. I tried, dude. I tried.
No, that was a good investment, and I forgot all about that stimulus check that we all got, and I'm like, I don't even remember half.
So it as an opportunity. I'm like, I'm gonna put this towards the computer, and I'm gonna finally learn something because before I had only directed one film in LA, one short, and I was beholden to editors.
Right.
It's good, but then I learned this is editing is the last cut of storytelling, and you're really editing your script in the last time around through the film. So it's such a valuable tool to know. And for me as a writer who takes the idea and puts it on page, now I have a different concept of what I used to know because I learned how to look through the editing eye. And still learning. I don't know. There's a lot I don't know, but I have good friends that are editors, and they'll talk me through or coach me through. And it's been a good experience. I really enjoy it too.
Well, how long have you been writing for then?
Oh,
yeah,
25, 30 years.
Okay, so you got.
I'm a grinder, bro. I'm a grinder. I started as an actor in 87, 89 in New York. Couldn't find a monologue. So I got sent to the drama bookstore, and I kept reading monologues. And I went home, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to write it. And it was acting coach, Anthony Abeson, who's still one of the better known and well-known coaches in New York. And he said, you know what? You're a good writer. Bring more in. And he allowed me to bring writing, then it became scenes, into the writing, into his acting class. There was no writing there. It was me. I was just writing, and actors would do my work, or I would do my work, and it just kept going from there. And then I got into screenplays. But I always in love with film. I always say my family, my mom and dad weren't from the industry, or I went to the Actors Studio Drama School. Jim Lipton said you're either born to plan show business or you're not. I wasn't born to it. My parents were the greatest ticket buyers ever, but they had a passion for film. So like my mom would sit me down on a Sunday and say, "Oh, you have to watch this. This is Kazan's Streetcar Named Desire. And if you want to go into this, you need to know about this. You need to see this." And then my dad would, like, late night, I remember him taking me like to a re-release of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I was like maybe 10, 12 years old. And that's just how it started. And then been in love with film. So when the writing started to happen, I'm like, no, I'm going to write films and I'm going to write TV and stage. And I love writing for the stage. So it just keeps going from there.
So you went to acting school during those times?
In those times, yeah, I was an actor at the at Anthony Abson's. It was down on 440 Lafayette Street, Musical Theater Works, and then he started to work at the Producers Club uptown. But yeah, I was in class at that time. Anthony Abson's a great story if you ever want to read up or check into his books. Or he was one of the teachers from the Arts High, the original, before Fame took off, and he was like a consultant on the Fame School, and then he went private. And I happened to be in a show downtown, and I said, I feel like I need a coach. I need somebody. And the actress that I was working with said, "Oh, you need to check out this. It's just starting as a class." And I was with Abeson for a long time, and I was an actor for a long time, for about 12 years. And but I always say my film school was being an extra, and that was my big. That was so exciting to get on a set. So I was like, the first thing I ever worked on, I was getting paid $100 a day. That's how I always mark things. $100 a day to be an extra on planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yo.
In New York, when they're chasing each other down the street.
With the taxi cabs and everything?
Yeah, so I'm in the crowd. That was my first gig.
What?
And,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it was Todd Baylor casting. You went to this giant open call at this church, and I think they still do this church up on by Lincoln Center. And it like lines around the block, and you hand in your stuff, and then like a month and a half goes by out of nowhere, and they call me, "Do you want to be in a John Hughes movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. My whole life, that's all I ever wanted, was a John Hughes movie." But I didn't know I was one of 1,000. I thought, oh, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then I went there, and I was there for like 3 or 4 days and watched them shoot the scene. I was standing next to Steve Martin in that outfit. So yeah, that was my.
Were you? Oh my God! Like,
you can't see me. No, I can see my friends who knew how to become extras.
They knew where to put themselves.
The extra world, yeah. I used to call it. You get good real estate, but another great experience. I went to Astoria Studios, get fitted for a tuxedo, and next thing I'm in the loft playing violin for Age of Innocence while they're shooting the dance sequences with Scorsese and the whole shebang. Like, I would close my eyes. I'm like, this is what it must have. You could hear the gown swishing and the thumper going. I'm like, oh, this is what it must have felt like being on set of Gone with the Wind. Like, I was on a real set, and it was just amazing. That was my film school. Being an extra for about 3 to 5 years, maybe 10 years. I don't remember how long I did that for. I was an actor for about 12 years. But then I started to notice the writing was getting more attention. And as an actor, God bless them, the rejection is so intense, and it's always you. Whereas a script, I could fix it and hand it back out again, and that felt more confident to me. So that's how I ended up going this route.
Oh, geez, man! Like, I remember going to the Grant Wilfie open cattle calls, because they were getting ready for like the whole season, and like I started out, and I still am, as an actor, and just in the early days, and you try to just find your way and navigate and just understand and try to figure out how to just really get involved, how to get a job. It's really like a Wild West or wild concrete jungle East, where it's like
Right.
like there's like the standardization is like almost no standards, where it's No, it's like very random. It's very
Right.
like, it's very fluid. You gotta just like you gotta get out there. And it's like, but where you don't have a clue,
Oh,
really.
and when I first started, because it was 1987, I got out of college and I was like, I'm going. And I actually took a course about casting, and they actually taught you to go on rounds. Like you still went and did the rounds, like you knocked on people's doors. You wouldn't even dare try that now, but this was 87, 88. You would literally go to the Brill building, knock on 100 doors, as many doors as you can, give them a headshot, talk to people. That doesn't happen anymore, but it was this great experience. Like it got me over like, well, this is your business. You're a door-to-door salesman now, but you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself as the actor. You're the package. And
Right.
yeah, it was with this director, Trent Goff. He made a couple of films, and then he opened up in a storefront when storefront theaters were affordable. And it was called Confrontations on Casting. And I took this course. It was like a 3-day course. And we would go, you would get a partner, you would go knock on people's doors and do the rounds. And he gave me a system on how to and where to find the right books to, look up who's doing what where. And that's how I learned to read the Hollywood Reporter. That's how I learned to read backstage, the front of backstage, not just the audition section. And also how to read periodicals about what's going on in the movie industry. And not just fan magazines. I only knew fan magazines being a kid in Jersey, but
Right.
it was a good little course to say like, no, this is the business of it. And it's a huge business, and I learned a lot fast. But yeah, that was my I would say that's my film school, was being an extra. Like I was there when De Niro flipped over the phone booth on Goodfellas. Um, I was there when Michael J. Fox is chasing Phoebe Cates on the runway in Bright Lights, Big City. It just goes on and on. It was just these great, like you look back now, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that was, wow, you were actually there. You actually saw it. You were a prop, because that's why I say you're a human prop. But it was watching the bigs. But I learned fast when they ask you what costume you want to wear. They used to give you a choice, either be businessman, because you're in New York, there's always businessman, and blue collar working guy. And I learned take blue collar working guy because it's more comfortable. And then I would then have a Walkman. So I would mingle with the crew.
Oh,
I would always have a Walkman, and I would mingle with the crew in between takes, and I would always end up behind the camera as close as I could get to watch what are they seeing that I'm not seeing.
right.
And like one of my favorite ones was Big, when I was one of the black tuxedos when Tom Hanks comes out in the white tuxedo. Like when he does that whole thing at the buffet, if you remember the scene, that was all improvised. Where
What
he
movie was that one?
Big, where he turns into a kid, but he's
Oh, the buffet where he's like, "Can I get a
right, and he
milkshake or
eats the
something?"
corn like it's a little baby Chinese corn. He eats it one kernel at a time. And
You were in the movie Big.
I was an extra. You can see my
What?
face for about 30 seconds. I was an
Oh
extra.
my, that is such a great resume, dude. Because
It's just fun.
no, I can relate because
Yeah.
I must have been I've been on over 100 film sets, and I think I barely really locked in every single one on IMDb, because it's like I remember there was even after, like, I put them all on IMDb up until the point where they said, you really shouldn't do that. I'm like,
Right.
why? And I'm like, you got my face on it. I made money from it. I was 100% there. And you're saying, no, but don't tell anybody. Why the fuck not?
Why not? It was my film school. I was behind the camera
I
watching
think, no, honestly, bro,
Marshall and Barry Sonnenfeld. How could you lose?
I think these people are full of shit. That's what I think.
Well, I think so too. What it used to be, there was a stigma you would become a professional extra. But you know what? That was a whole subculture of acting you need to know about, because in New York, it's different. It's not like LA where, oh, yeah, it's some guy from the unemployment line making a few bucks. I'd be on film sets with people that were trying to make their insurance. Like one of the pop-up characters for Sesame Street for like 20 years, I forgot her name, older Latino lady, was there next to me. She's just trying to get her benefits. There was Tony nominations standing next to me, sitting next to me. And then you'd be brought onto a film and you would start to get to know the cast and crew. Like I would get bumped up all the time. Oh, you want a line? Oh, boom. I would get bumped up later. Or I'll give you 3 more days of work if you be a stand-in, or if you'll, be a stand-in in a truck. It's a shitty job, but do you want? I'm like, yeah, I got to make insurance too. So that became my film school. But like, especially with Big, like I'm like, oh, they improvised the scene. That's not written in. And then they shot it. And then they would have meetings right there between the director and Tom Hanks. And I'm watching what Penny Marshall is watching through the camera. It was the greatest experience. I did it on Goodfellas. I did it, like I said, Bright Lights, Big City. I did so many that I don't remember them anymore. But the big ones I remember because they're still playing. They're still
Right.
out there, and it was just great experiences. And I met great people. Some people I was friends with till the day they died. There's one woman I was friends with. Here's a shout out, Ervil Light. She was the queen actress. She was this bubby, this Jewishy grandma redhead that would get her way into the camera. And she was a character, and we stayed friends to the day she died. That's my film school, man. New York extra work on up, and it was great.
I could so relate because I went to I started out like on a fluke. I just took an acting class as an elective, and I only went to college for healthcare because I got injured from my construction job the year before. I had a surgery on my shoulder, and then I had to go to community college because under Obamacare, you could stay under your parents' healthcare plan up
Yep,
until at that time. It wasn't even 26 years old yet. It was still like before all that happened.
for sure.
So I went to community college, took an elective, and I did my first musical, and it was literally just a fluke. I was a business major at the time, and I just thought maybe if I just kind of just, get
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
talking to people, being on stage, I'm like, why not? So, but then the people in the drama club community, they said, Phil, take the acting class. So I did. Take the improv class. So I did. From there, I got scouted from a kid from the film department because they were working on their thesis and they
Yep.
needed an actor. And they asked me to be the lead in my first short film called Village Music. So what ended
Great.
up happening was, this was like
That's
such a
great.
fluke and a weird, this stuff, like you can't make this shit up.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh my God. So what ended up happening was, we did the film. We did the screening at the school. They passed the
right,
class.
right, right, right.
But for me and my like good friend Heather, like that was our first that was our first like lead roles where it was like kind of like not like it wasn't a romantic drama, romantic comedy or like specifically, but it was just one of those solid, outstandingly well executed student films, which even today actually does pretty damn good for a 2008, 2009 film. And that's up on my YouTube channel. You can see
Hey,
Village.
I'll look at, yeah.
And that was my first one. That was before like acting technique got in my
And
head.
then
And like,
you realize how serious it is, right?
and not only that,
It catches your blood, yeah.
I was like I just like as a side note, I could kind of see like how like not the acting training took away from my performance, but it kind of just affected me in a way where I made it more about the technique than actually just
The
doing.
experience, right, right, right.
It seemed a little bit like a little surfaced. I saw the dynamic of here's my first one, which I thought was better, and then I looked at some of my other ones where it's like I'm trying to actually apply what I learned, but it
Right,
kind of just didn't work really for the camera, or I'm not really bridging that gap yet.
right.
I don't know.
That's why actors are so important and so special. First of all, and I had a great playwriting teacher who said, listen, it's 90% about the actors after it's done. You're gonna give them what they need, but really, if they don't give the performance, they're gonna go, it's bad writing. That's how I always learned it. Like you got to trust the actor, you got to trust the technique, you got to trust guys like you with skills. That's important. That's what I learned. I learned it all a lot through Anthony Abeson because of his connection with the Fame School. So like when I was a bad actor from New Jersey in this great Manhattan acting class where they all knew each other, and I'm working with this girl, and he goes to give me a note, and I turn to face him, and I drop her head on the table. And then later, she became the star of Friends. It was Jennifer Aniston when she just got out of high school.
Oh my God.
That's so that's how bad an actor I was. I dropped her head on the table, but I learned. I that's what I learned, what Cagney said, learn your lines, don't bump into the furniture and make it good. That's really what it is. And it's just got to be the passion of it. I fell in love with I love the acting stuff. I ended up going to the Actor Studio Drama School.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but
Good for you.
as a writer, and my brother, switched the focus to writing, and my brother came home with this article in the New York Times, and it said, "Oh, the Actor Studio is going to open a school, and they're going to produce playwrights." So I'm like, "Oh, I got to go." So I applied to the first year, got denied. Applied to the second year, got denied. The third year, I laid off, and then the fourth year, I said, "There's no way I'm not getting into this school." And I sent in two packages. One is, and this is when you had paper and videotape. So one was this tall of writing, and the other was this tall of directing. And actually, they called me and they said, "Look, just so you know, you're in, but we don't know what to do with you. Nobody's ever applied for two disciplines like this before," because it was still new. So I got into the fourth class, and you start off as an actor there, but then you jump into writing, and then you're, well, actually from the very start. But once you go through 2 years of acting, then it's just nothing but writing and going to workshops of getting the writing produced, and then they produce it. So that was the next journey, and that was the next step of it. So I had formal training eventually as a writer, which was great, and I still were three of the best artistic years of my life, because you had New York was just at your beck and call. We were getting free tickets to Broadway shows. We were rehearsing 24/7. We were writing and rehearsing and writing. And that was a great 3 years.
And you were watching people with the experience and executing, and just like you were understanding it and being like, it was like what I wanted to say earlier is that like there's no better education than your experience, and you're actually gaining a lot of experience as a viewer in a constructive manner, because you're still in student mode and you're understanding what people are doing and how they're doing it.
100% right. That people forget that show Inside the Actor Studio. If you watch them, I'm in there. And
Oh, which I watched every single one they ever did. Which one were you there for?
a lot.
Oh, you
I was
were.
there for 3 years of it, because that's the program's 3 years, and that's your
Right.
lecture series. Like technically, you're supposed to attend every one while you're there.
So I kind of cheated now that I watched it. I'm like, I'm there with you, but I'm not. But that was with John Lipton.
James Lipton, yeah.
Oh, it was James. I call him. Oh fuck!
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I learned the bastard's name wrong. Fuck.
It was a J. You're close. Yeah, that was his passion. Was two things: the show and the school. He's the one that put the school together. Through the Actors Studio itself and the members. So, I asked him. I said, "What was?" So the cool thing was, and people don't know that. First of all, those shows are 4 hours or more, and they cut it down because of commercials. They cut it down to 45 minutes.
Damn. I didn't get shortchanged. You guys, man,
Yeah, exactly.
You guys had it great.
Yeah, we did.
No, because
We did.
yeah, well,
We did. No, we did. It was the Cadillac of schools. I'm telling you, man. And it looks like it's closing down now. That's the crazy thing. Now,
Oh, son of a bitch! No fucking way. Because James is now. It was the money.
James is gone, and they lost their charter with Pace. I don't know if they're going to reopen somewhere else, but I don't think there's a driving force there. But I asked them because, all right, so those shows are 4 hours, and they always invited you to the editing sessions. You could sign up. And after I got through my first 3 months of school, and right before the Christmas break, I went to my first editing session, and I never missed one after that. I always signed up for it, because you sat in the room, you watch it, but like the day I was there, it was just me, him, and the crew, and they ran out of film stills. So they're like, "Oh, you need to go to. We're going to send you in a cab to Cy Coleman's house, the composer." So I go to Cy Coleman's house, the great American composer, and we're picking pictures with him and his girlfriend. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is Dorothy Fields. This is me and Shirley MacLaine." And I take the pictures back, and I go back, and Lipton's waiting for me. He's like, "You're going to stay for lunch, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but." Good, because Martin Landau's coming. I want you to meet him. So it was me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's what life at the studio was like. And that's, at the school, you always had a celebrity teacher, or you had just a great New York teacher. And I asked him, I was like, "What was one of the big plans for this? How did you?" He's like, "Well, we knew." Because of the Actor Studio, there's going to be some teachers you can get every day, good teachers. And then we knew there was some teachers, because of their lifestyle and their project, you could only get once in a while. He goes, and then we knew there was this ultimate celebrity group of teachers that you'd only get one shot at. And then that's how they started to come up with the idea to do it as a show and then record it. So I was always told the original recording was Al Pacino, and he didn't realize it was for television. He thought it was in-house. So
He was the first one?
he was the very first one, because and he's still a pretty active member at the Actor Studio. And
I heard that.
supposedly he didn't know it was going to be on TV, and he said so much personal stuff. He goes, no, no. And they never released the original one. But then I heard that he came back later and did another one years later. So I don't remember how true that is. But, I used to be able to write Lipton or email him and get answers. But,
I think rumors are 99% true, unless.
Well, that one was from Lipton. I knew he didn't allow it, but I didn't know why or whether it came back. But then
It could have just gotten too personal, or like
maybe
the timing was wrong, or he's unprepared, or Al Pacino probably was just way too nervous.
Right.
And it's like,
And it was a first. People weren't doing that. And then I asked him another question too at one time in the editing. I was like, Dean, why? Because I always refer to him as the Dean. He's the Dean. I said, Dean, why do celebrities love to come on here? And he said, because, and it was right after that Rosie O'Donnell thing years ago. He goes, they're not going to get jumped. We're really going to talk about the craft. We're not talking, and it's true. You never see a gossip subject. You never hear even a gossip subject question from the kids. It's about the craft. How did you do this scene? Like, we really were. People were like, oh, you guys were kissing their ass. No, I wanted to know. I wanted to know from Richard Dreyfuss at the end. This is a big thing about I wanted to know. Dreyfuss comes. There's a million questions I got, and it was in a lot of magazines about film and stuff. When Stand By Me came out, and if you watch Stand By Me,
yeah,
at the very end, Dreyfuss, as the writing character, doesn't save the story. He just turns it off. Which back then, with an old IBM, that means the story's gone. And this was written about in magazines at the time. I forget, Premiere Magazine had a small article on it. So I said, I hope this doesn't insult you, but I gotta know. At the end of that movie, you turn off the computer. Is that a editing error, or is that intentional? Like, he wrote it, but he doesn't want the world to know it.
It was for him.
You know what he said? He goes, I really don't remember. I think it's an editing error.
I mean, all right, like Rob Reiner, he directed that.
No, yeah, it might have been. Yeah, was that
Yeah,
Reiner?
I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, well, back in the day, who knows? It might have slipped through. But that was, because I had read about it in Premiere, and when I saw the movie, I thought of it. I'm like, well, did he save it or didn't he? I thought it, and I really was hoping Dreyfuss was going to give me I'm not going to tell you, because I would leave me guessing. I would have loved it better.
Well, did we notice whether or not there was a floppy disk or anything involved?
I think it is a floppy disk.
So chances are it could have.
I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
Oh, that's a little bit of a theory. It's just like,
isn't that a cool? But would have been a cool ending,
Well, I mean, it kind of shocks us, because for those of us who catch something like that, I had no idea that's the technology. But it's like, wait, time out. You need to tell me this guy just told his whole story that we got to see, but nobody else in his universe will ever know it because he didn't save it.
Turned it off. He didn't save it. So
oh my God, dude.
And to me, that's a great writing choice too. At the same time,
yeah,
I'm excited about shit like that. Like I look for stuff like that in my own work. Like, how do I keep the audience guessing?
And it's like, now I feel bad for the viewers or the readers in that universe who will never know.
Never know. You never know.
Meanwhile,
I didn't know
for
years.
None of them even exist.
But that's what
exists, and I feel bad for people that don't exist.
But that was another one I asked Ellen Burstyn. I forgot the name of a movie. She did a movie where she ended up getting a special gift of healing people with her hands. And the doctor that was with Burstyn's character through the whole thing kept pushing and testing and pushing and testing it. And finally, he tried to get her to heal somebody that had severe cerebral palsy or something. And it overloaded her and she freaked out. And I got to talk to her about that scene. I'm like, what was the intention? They never, and that's one of those scenes. They never state what really happened to the, did she take it on so much and it overload her? Did she become that woman, and just cripple down and shut her down? And I got to talk to her about that, and that was on a one-on-one because I did a workshop with her, and that's how it was. But people, like I said, people always like, oh, you guys kissed her. I'm like, no, not really. We all legitimately like, we want to know how they did this or what they did in their career at this point in time, or like I got to talk to Peter Falk because of that, and ask him about the movie Mad, 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 Mad World. And I ended up imitating him. That's a famous one. That I'm still there, and I imitated Falk for Falk during the questions, and we had a great time. And it got me. I used to get like fan mail because and people wanted to know from that experience. And then Lipton, because of that experience, brought me back for the 250th episode.
Embark on your unique financial journey with Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union. Your aspirations, your milestones. We're committed to guiding you every step of the way. Whether you're saving for a dream home, planning for retirement, or seeking to consolidate debt, trust MHV to provide personalized solutions tailored to your needs. Our comprehensive range of products and services, coupled with expert financial advice, empowers you to make informed decisions and achieve your goals. Visit us online at mhvfcu.com to discover the tools and resources available to help you navigate your financial landscape with confidence and clarity. Your journey starts here.
Was that the big guy with the voice, kind of who played beside Mickey Rooney during that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy.
No. Peter Falk was just a cabbie. No, that was you're talking about Buddy Hackett. No,
but
Peter
that's Buddy
Falk.
Hackett.
Yeah. Peter Falk was just a cabbie with a few lines, and he ends up driving them around the building for the money, and he gets caught.
Columbo guy.
Columbo, yeah.
Oh, you're going back.
No, that's even that's like my mom's generation. But that's one of my favorite films. That's a film that.
What's the matter with you? Can't you see I'm talking on the phone?
Well, that's it. The cops in this town are retarded. That's how he starts out his line. The cops in this town are retarded. And I had to ask him about that. And supposedly there was a great, like, in between takes, there was a floating crap game that Phil Silvers would run, and they'd all go in between takes, go shoot, or setups, go shoot craps. And it's just one of those movies you could afford to make that movie now with stars of that and just the gags. That's famous for gag teams in Hollywood. It's got Mad Mad World's got it's a Stanley Kramer film. It's got the most gag writers in the history of any Hollywood film. And it's one of my favorites. Just one of those tentpole at the time comedies. It was great. But yeah, that was life at the Actors Studio and going to school for it. I got to work with the great playwright Romulus Lenny my last year. He ran the program. At that time, he's one of the most produced living playwrights. It was just the golden era of the school, and it was a great time to be there. I graduated with Bradley Cooper.
Not only that, just like there's a quality and culture of being a student in New York City, and being an acting student in New York City during those years, where it's
totally. I tell people that they're like, would you go to grad school? Would you advise people go to grad school? I said, the first thing is you got to know what you want out of grad school, because in the end you're just going to come out with a degree. The industry don't give a shit, but you want to finesse your tools, you want to finesse your skills, you want to get better at what you do, and then go out and sell it. Even in those shows, I would always say, hi, my name's Tom Cavanaugh. I'm a writer in my second year. I'm a writer in my third year. Because to me, I was telling the world, I'm like, look, I'm graduating soon. I'm coming out. This is what I'm going to do. I would never say I'm on the writing track, but that's what they used to say. But I would always say, I would give them a countdown. I'm like, I'm coming for you. And I got these great skills, and I'm coming after this. And I'm still going after this. I'm still chasing this. There's no way I'll never stop. And I come this far.
And then, like, I could agree, because every time I thought, like, maybe this isn't for me. And I would let it go. Or I would try to, like, just, get back to who I was, construction kid, ambitious kid, or whatever. And just like, I never wanted to do this in the first place. I got sucked into it, and for some gravity would happen, and it would just kind of like bring me back
Yep.
somehow, you know what I mean? Where it's like, and I talk about that a lot because, I think it's a spiritual thing sometimes because I think theater, film, television, this entire thing, uh, as much as it is artistic, I think it's equal parts spiritual as well, you know? And for like it's just like it's a very curious thing. Um, I actually wanted to mention earlier after my community college and that film, I auditioned for the New York Conservatory of the Dramatic Arts and I got in and I studied there for a year. Um,
Tough
and
school. That's another tough school, but good.
Yeah, but like it was working out great, but this one kid, Andy Perez, he and I were talking, and when I found out more about the Actors Studio, I was really curious about that. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, there's another school. What about this? And during that time, I'm learning every single thing you could possibly learn, word of mouth, understand, apply yourself, everything. I was submerged in it. I was not drowning in it, but I was just 100% in it. And in 2011, we went and took a look at the neighborhood playhouse because he wanted to try and go there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go, but I just went with him because he wanted to get more information. He just didn't want to go alone.
Right.
At that exact point in time, I wanted to go to the Actors Studio. And I was always kind of like a little like, all right, I'm learning acting. I'm kind of just doing this. I'll just go study there. But when I got to the Playhouse, I got enough information to the point where I was curious because I saw the walls. I saw like the history of the school.
Yep. It's loaded too. It's another
we were already
loaded.
learning. Yeah, we were learning Meisner at the conservatory, and I'm like, I get it. I'm getting into it. It's not easy because I like yeah, especially in the early days and believe me, bro, believe me when I say this, I wanted to learn. I was putting 150% into like really making sure I understood this and I got it. And that was actually the origin story of where Meisner technique came from. And I'm like, but I'm here. Let me just get some information. I'll apply. If I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. And I still like applied to the Actors Studio. I don't think I ever heard back, but I just like looking back on it in hindsight, I'm looking at like just sort of like the symbolism behind it, like because the neighborhood playhouse is a red door, you know, but the Actors Studio had a blue door, and for some reason. Between both of them that I applied to, I went into the red door. And then I'm thinking red pill, blue pill world. And I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. And now in just hindsight, where it's just like how different my life would have been if I just took the blue pill, but I happened to take the red pill. And dude, when I was telling you before, I discovered so much about myself at the Playhouse because not only did I understand and like really as an actor, I could do this. That wasn't my limitation because all of a sudden, poetry started coming to me. Music started coming to me. I composed my first song as a result of coming to the neighborhood playhouse. It just came out through me. I wasn't studying it. It just happened. Writing poetry, it all just happened. And then writing scripts started to just happen, you know? And what ended up happening as a result, a year later, in 2013, I finished sometime in 2013, going into 14. I played with it a little bit, but it was mostly 2013. I wrote a novel, my first one, called There Goes the Neighborhood, and it was a complete, yeah, it was
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Congrats.
Well, thank you. And like, I never published it. I never shared it. It was just for me.
You finished it.
But like I'm compelled to not only publish it because it's like tapping me on my shoulder and it's like, don't forget about me. We need this. And I'm like, what? It was just different therapy, bro. Chill, get off my back. And it's like, I don't know, my conscience or whatever, or that angel on my shoulder. It's like, Phil, all right. So the story, like I was telling you before, is like, you know how there's that entire culture of being an acting student?
Sure.
And just that's what the book is actually specifically about, you know? Right. Because every single thing that I experienced in that 4-year time frame, I implemented everything that I could think of into every single character in that book.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But
That takes a fun journey, man. That makes it worth it. Good
I
for
was
you.
just trying to get the shit out of my system because I'm like, where the hell where is my life going? I had such a good career. I was a construction worker. And I was good at that. I was really good at that. And I'm like, why? And I had watched years later, the TV show Euphoria.
Uh-huh,
And
which is great. Great
and I'm
work.
like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I get hit with I get hit with a lightning bolt because it's like, wait, I have the book. They're telling stories in a high school context of this culture and drugs. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't give a shit about any of that. What I do care about is the process of what it's like to actually become an actor. And here's like just like something. And what I wanted to kind of create was sort of like a parallel to the Goonies, where you know how they followed the map and there's all these clues on how to get to the treasure at the end. Even though they didn't actually get to keep it or hold on to it, they were the ones who
You still
discovered it.
got there. Yeah, no, they got there. Yeah, it's the journey.
So, but because what my book was about was really about not only that journey, you don't get to keep that treasure, but you know that you actually found it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the journey of what it was to actually be an actor, because you know you could
Great.
have you could have all the riches in the world, but like that's not the point.
Yeah. No, well, the two things what you were saying, the school choices. Listen, Sigourney Weaver, when somebody asked her a question about it, she said she always believed these schools were there to take you apart, and it's your responsibility to put yourself back together and start creating those stuff. That's in her interview. She said that it's your responsibility to put yourself back together, and that's the real great thing that you did. You decided, you know what? No, I'm going to dive into this. This is inspiring me, and it did, and it's still inspiring. It's still look at where you are now. Look at where
Bro,
you are now. This is everything we did before we got here got us here, and what we're
yeah.
doing. And you kind of come like a neighborhood guy like me. Do you get this at times when you go to family events and it's your cousin who's a few years older with a wife and kids, and they lean in and go, "I wish I could do what you did." That happens to me all the time.
I've had conversations like that where
Yep,
it's like yes and no, but Phil, you making any money yet? I'm like,
all the
things like
time. And my answer is yeah, all the time. I make it in my basement. What do you think?
I'm
But
like
yeah,
I'm like, well, I got 2 government citations as a thank you. How many you got? Hey, yo.
but they do. People want to do this, and the more you do. When I lived in LA, I
You
would always get these
can.
weird messages, and I'd say to my brother, I'm like, so and so contacted me. I haven't talked to that kid since junior high school.
Right.
And they're like, why? He said, because of Facebook and you're in Hollywood. They want to touch it. And never had a Hollywood quit. They just had the excitement of, oh, you're doing it. You're out there, you're doing it. That's a big thing. Like you stepped across the line. And not only did you step across the line, you went to school for it for real. You had formal training in it, and you're out there slugging it every day, and you're creating this. We wouldn't be having this conversation if you didn't have that explosion, which is what I call it. That's the explosion. You get a realization, and then somewhere down the line you get the explosion, and you know what? And then next week I'm going to paint something too, and I'm going to do sculpture because you know what? I can. Nobody's telling you you can't. That's the big thing. So I'll give you the real deep down of it. I started acting. I was on my way, literally, with a computer science degree out of Seton Hall. I was finishing up the last year and a half, 2 years of Seton Hall, and I had a business degree. And I really did. I was going to go to Texas and get in the oil business because I knew oil was always going to be a business that somebody was making money in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was going to do with my computer science degree, get in the business of oil. What the hell do I know from oil from Edison, New Jersey? But that was my business plan. And then my father died. 19 years old. He was 49. I was 19. My brother was 17. And for 2 years, I cried.
Yeah.
Years I cried. We were a really tight family. My mom raised us very Mediterranean Sicilian. So we're really tight. And I looked at his life and said, well, he was 49. He was a high school dropout. Went back years later, got the degree. On a dare, got an undergrad degree. On another dare from his friends, got a master's and was on his way because he wanted to work for a doctor, and then got bored with it because he and had sailed around the world twice as a merchant marine when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm going to chase this. And my mom said, it's time. Go do it. Go do it. And I've been chasing the dream because life's too short, man. That was my, and then later on, I had the explosion when I got into Anthony Abson's class. That's where I learned. I'm like, because I was surrounded by all these guys from Arts High, all these great men and women from Arts High, right? Some of them I'm still friends with. And we're talking, this is 1987, 89 now. And they were playing music, they were singing, they were playing in bands, and then they were acting, and they were knocking the acting out of the park. And then all of a sudden from the school, Esai Morales would come and work with them on stage and work with us on stage just because that was his passion. And that's where I had the explosion in Abson's class at Musical Theater Works. I'll never forget it, where I'm like, you know what, we can do this. They are doing it, I can do this. Because I was pure, you know the expression, I was bridge and tunnel, man. I didn't know anything about Manhattan. I only knew how to buy a ticket and order a meal. I didn't know how to even take the A train. But it was New York, and it was, you can do anything here. But I was always hooked on film. Film was always, no, that's something since I'm a kid. Since seeing movies, I go back as a kid seeing movies at Radio City Music Hall when they had shows and movies in the 70s and up into the 80s, and then they got rid of the movies. But I remember seeing Huck Finn. It was a Tom Sawyer movie, and Jodie Foster was Becky, and the kid from the TV shows was Tom Sawyer. And I'm like, I want to be one of those kids. I was young, but it was on the big screen. And they would bring us to another movie there, and then we go to movies on a regular basis. And I fell in love with movies. I'm in love with watching movies. I'm in love with. I can watch a movie like I never saw it before, even though I've seen it a million times.
I could relate because I've watched over 100, I think it's like 150 films in the last 2 years just from the independent circuit. What we're doing, I'm like, and on it, like not like I'll never knock creativity on the like on the cinema level, because that's what always got me kind of just so interested in the awe of just like the world of cinema, and then actually seeing people like us start from scratch and in this very early stage, really committing to the craftsmanship of this and storytelling and doing it on such a small scale. If you could do that 4 times, you could do it on a large scale.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's really just, and that's the thing though. And I'm really glad your mother said that to you, because when I was reading this book in the early days, it was called The Right Words at the Right Time. And Shaquille O'Neal's mom said the exact same thing to him. Because he was in a bit of a conflicted time in his life where it's like he's got so many options and opportunities, and he felt like maybe he should just like stop doing it and just wait and just see how like things maybe play out.
Sure.
And I'm going from memory, but she was like, oh, no, 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 no. This is not only what you want to do, this is what you're called to do.
Right.
And this is not something you hesitate to pursue.
Right, you got to dive into it while you can and fast as you can. I have a friend's son. Usually I don't suggest young kids go into this right away. I said, go to school a little bit, learn about yourself before you decide to go into this, because this could break your heart. This breaks your heart on a regular basis. And that's one of the things about having a tough skin in this. It's going to break your heart on a regular basis. It just does. But the successes are so amazing when they happen, and so much fun. I'm in the middle of a big first step right now. I don't know if it's going to happen. Close to getting my first off-Broadway show. It's in development. We're doing a backers audition. I have a great actor with a great reputation who's on television right now, wants to play the lead role. It took me 25 years or 30 years of writing full-length plays to get to this part, but it's amazing. I'm having a ride, and if it falls through, it falls through. We start again. But right. If it pans out, it could be the best experience. It could be the one that puts it over the top, or it just puts it over until I get to the next script, and I got to put that over the top. But you just don't quit. You just never stop doing this if this is what you want to do. As long as you can afford to keep yourself alive doing it. That's the hard part now. It's a lot of pay to play now.
there's nothing really to unpack with any of that because you're 100% correct. Um, I think I think ego is what really gets in the way, and I think that's something sometimes that has to be the broken part of you because it at times there is ego that could be uh useful, sometimes more of like a Kickstarter for something, but not the duration of something. That's where your heart actually is. And I think the rejection, it can be heartbreaking. Uh, I just think sometimes we can confuse our ego with our heart because then it's our
Right.
will be done. And that's the thing that really, could be so hurtful. And you got to sometimes, for me anyway, try to be a little bit more humble about it because but at this point, that there's nothing from yesterday and the years prior, uh, that were not useful experiences for you to understand that you were able to be sustained all the way up until this point, right? And maybe we could just sort of like get it in our heads a little bit and swirl, saying like, where's this all going? What's it all for? And I think it contributes to ego because this is what I want out of my life. And maybe there's a lesson in there where you have to sort of remove yourself, where it's not entirely about you, especially as an
Right.
actor. You got to have a little bit of an ego, no doubt about it, and you got to have passion to do it. But as an actor, you are the servant in this story. Like you're there to serve first. It is definitely not about you. You were chosen. Yes, no doubt about it, because there's a trust that these people have in casting you and they're depending on you. And you got to be able to serve this story because it's really not about you. And this is just one of many that's going to sustain you throughout your life. And I think that's where your heart is really going to be filled. It's not going to be broken unless your ego is getting in the way of that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a big thing. Anything that I use this word not lightly, but it happens sometimes. We're temperamental. But anything that I've destroyed, it was because of my ego. Anything that I said, no, it's got to be this way or the highway, that's my ego. As opposed to, all right, let me hear what you have to say and let's work this out and let me make a decision based on your input just as much as my input. But whenever I put that hard line down, and later on, I look back and I'm like, what? Why? Why did I do that? I had a moment. I got rejected for something and it was a friend that rejected it. Somebody I liked that I've been working with, and I was ready to say, shut the front door. I'm out of here. And then I had to stop myself and go, no, 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 no. These are good people. They're good people. They're your friends. Just take the rejection and say thanks. I'll send you the next play. I'll send you the next piece of writing, as opposed to, well, no, that should have been me. And why would no, no, you just can't, just what you said, trust your heart. Your heart doesn't want to do that. Your ego wants to do that. And you got to put that ego on the side. And after living 15 years of Hollywood where everybody's ego drives the car, I learned out there how to read the room now. If you ever watch the making of The Godfather, The Offer,
Yes.
it's great, isn't it? It's
I
really
loved it. Honestly,
great.
I saw it this year because my dad said my uncle watched it and he really recommended it. And my dad's like, all right, I'll have to check it out. But he never checked it out. He said he just told me about what he wanted.
If you're in this game and you like that movie, you need to know the truth. But there's several times where they say to the Al Ruddy character, they say to Ruddy, they're like, you got to learn how to read a room. You got to learn how to read a room. That's an important thing. That's an important thing of you knowing what you're walking into when you walk in to anything, right? But learning how to read a room is checking your ego at the door. I'm not the most important person in this room. There's a lot of people in this room. They're all important. I got to figure out who I'm supposed to be talking to right now. And that's something I learned in LA. And it was how to read the room and check your ego at the door. It's a big deal. It was a big deal, especially when I was a new kid on the block. My first short film was made in LA. I belong to a workshop called the Actors Gym. It's run by Bobby Moresco, who won
I heard of
the
it.
Yeah, it's way famous in New York now because we're here.
Yeah.
And it started in New York and then it branched to LA. When he moved to LA, he made the movie Crash there. Him and his partner won the Oscar for that.
I have a Christmas story that is inspired by the movie Crash that I'm working on. Please
Great.
continue.
So I was in his workshop, and like I told you before, but for your audience, so I paid the bills. My survival job used to be bartending, and then became answering 911 calls. And I did it on both coasts. I've been doing it for 32 years. And I went to Bobby's workshop in LA. That's where I started with it, even though I knew about it for years in New York through friends. And after becoming a member, one night I didn't have any writing to bring in, but I had a journal that I kept when I started being a 911 operator and dispatcher for LAPD, because I did it for a year at LAPD before I moved to Cal State, where it was easier
Jesus
and better for
Christ.
me. So
Wow.
I went on stage and I just read what I had written, and he just went like this. He just pointed into somebody in the audience and goes, "That's your short film."
Welcome to Happy Corner. This project strives to make safe housing areas for stray cats at an affordable price. It's so easy to put together that even your children could have fun making one. Help keep cats and other animals safe with their own little Happy Corner homes. You can help this project become a reality by donating to the GoFundMe page. Happy Corner homes are a great way to show those animals in need it's okay to be happy.
So there was a director, up and coming director in the audience who was also the production designer for the TV show Monk. His name's Chuck Parker. And he said, "Do you have any short films? I'm looking to do a short films." And I always kept some short films in my bag of writing. And I said, "Yeah, here." And I handed him 3. And later on, about a week or 2 later, I get a phone call to go to what's now Red Studio. I forgot what it was called back then, where they were making the TV show Monk. And he said, "I want to produce this short film." He said, "But let me ask you something. Those 911 stories you said on stage, can you adapt that to be the short film?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I can adapt anything." I said, "And I'm good at, what's your assets? Tell me your assets and I'll write for it, so we stay within your budget." And he said, "Well, let me give you a little tour first." And he took me through all the sets of Monks. And when we came back to the office, he goes, "All those set pieces, we get to use them. And we get to use them for free, the sound stages."
Right.
And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "When you're on a show this long on TV, they give you opportunities." He goes, "I have the opportunity. They're going to let me direct a segment of Monk and get my director's card if I can pull off a short film. And I've
No
been waiting
shit.
3 years, and I think you're the short film." He says, "Not only do we get that," and then he says, "And these are the actors I want to use." And they're all A-list actors that he knew from doing television.
That's awesome, man.
And just because I was the right place at the right time, and I just kept it down. And he said, "We have a $40,000 budget for a short film. We got to do this right. We only get one shot at this. They allow us to shoot when they're not shooting. We can use whatever set pieces are up. And we're going to make the movie you write. So now go write the movie." And that was the first thing that went from an idea to I actually knew I had TV people, so in 3 weeks I wrote a pilot script for them based on it. And he said, "Now let's cut it down." And we made a 22-minute film, and then we ended up in development at Stars. And
Get out of town.
I was in development with me and Chuck Parker. Now Chuck's the president of the production designer guild in LA. Really,
Get out of here.
and yeah. And
Oh my God, that is
I was in the right workshop at the right time in the right moment. And that
Bro.
little film, you can see clips of it on my reel on my website, but it's called The Shift. It's based on true stories of being a 911 operator. It went all the way to the Cannes market in 2007. Yeah, 2007, I think it was. because I didn't know anything, and he didn't know. Over 15 minutes, so many of the big festivals won't put you in the short division. You got to be 15 minutes or less, and that was a rule at con at the time, because we were 22 minutes. We could only go to the market, and we came back with a gold rating, and it got us into a, we got a 5-star gold rating from doing the market, but it got us into stars, and we were at stars for. We had stars for a few months, and then, of course, the usual typical television story. The executive got fired that hired us or had us involved, and we went to movie jail after that for a little while. So, but that was my first trip, a $40,000 short film. I don't even make $40,000. My short films are made on $10,000 or less. I wouldn't even dream about it, but he pulled the stops out because it did. He ended up directing a segment of Monk and then directing a segment of something else. And I got to work with great actors. And Jerry Levine is an actor-director that played the lead. And you would know him if you saw him. And his wife happened to be, at the time, working as the vice president or the president of CBS. No, Les Moonves was the president. She was the vice president, I think. Whatever she was huge. It was Nina Tassler, who's gigantic, and she did voiceover on it to help us out because we were at their house doing voiceover for him, and we needed a girl's voice, and she came down and jumped in. And it's just, that's what it is. Just check your ego at the door, be ready when the opportunity knocks, and then just take your shot.
Right.
And I'm still taking a shot, though. I still haven't, I want a TV show. I want a TV show. I want a Sopranos that hopefully is groundbreaking of some type. Or I want a Euphoria and TV, but I want a film too. I got some feature films. I have a really good one now that just called Bedbuggers that just won a Faden Award, the grand prize at the Faden Awards in LA for best drama screenplay. So I'm just rolling that out now, trying to sell it. And if anyone's interested, it's a really good independent feature.
Well, I'm working on a show called Fireland right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a story of the FDNY before 9/11.
I know that world. That was my 911 world in Jersey, though. But yeah, I know that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So of course you would know. Like you get it.
Oh yeah. Well, people forget fire departments weren't always rock stars until 9/11. They were just hard-working emergency guys saving lives.
Oh, it's like you didn't know. And people don't know right now, like the depth of it. My dad's a firefighter. He retired.
Oh my God.
I lived it. I grew up with it. I saw it. I smelt it.
You and me both. Yeah.
I'm craving. There's so many things that I missed about being a firefighter because I was going to acting school at the time, and when the test got suspended, it kind of just really put my life on pause. Where it's like, not that I had like a concrete plan, but it's like it took away some options, and then it didn't even present itself until I finished my last year of acting school, and the timing was bad because I missed the test because I got sick. And it's just like, I'm already a pile of mush because Sigourney was right. You were completely disassembled and taken back apart. And like, even psychologically, I'm like going through like these micro PTSD of things of just removing all of those things that you think was like true, but you're really discovering like, what is something truthful? How do you know it? How can you discern it? And then when you put that all back together, which takes years, bro, like you're not even going to get the fruit of anything that you learned until and really understand it until you're way past it.
Yep, that's exactly it. So now your dad's retired?
Yeah, he retired in 2012, and that's part of the book too, because what a fucking euphoric shit show of a beautiful story. But oh my God, when you are that person and you're like around it and in it, that was rough.
Yep, and especially in New York City.
100%.
It's a different game. Like, I don't know that world compared to the world that I did in the burbs, because New York's a different firefighter game. PD in New York, fire in New York, EMS in New York, totally different than the rest of the world. The world, not just neighborhoods. Oh, you got a good story, bro. You got a good story.
Well, I could send you like the audio presentation, because we tried a tactic that was recommended by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
he did a podcast on Joe Rogan years ago, and he
Yeah,
said that one thing that Hollywood was trying to do is convert screenplays into podcasts to kind of generate
correct.
interest. So I thought that was a great idea. And then years later, I developed the AFC, and we're here now. But I implemented the one script that I had that was prepared, and it's like, all right, let me try this. And it got some buzz. A lot of people in the FDNY heard about it. John Field from the Field Foundation enjoyed it. He wants
Nice.
to, he was going to put us in touch with John Stewart. But what I wanted to do before I would even have that conversation with John is I'm putting together the sizzle reel right now to show the trailer at the film festival, and
Good.
then I'll just probably either shop that around on the film festival circuit, start getting a feel for submissions and stuff, and see if there's genuine interest out there from like the filmmaking community to do a story like this. But the goal for overall is what the AFC can do. Since we're a charity and our ministry is to actually produce films, what we do is we could solicit all the donations for that project and
Right.
then Project Green Light.
Listen,
You don't need an investor.
I learned a long time ago, man. It was actually when I got out of grad school, one of the teachers from grad school, Carlin Glynn, actress teacher, did a lot of great movies, you know her. Got me into the Independent Producers Conference at Sundance, which is a thing that would happen a weekend on the Sundance campus. And I think they brought it back. And I went there from Friday to Monday and went to these dinners, lunches, screenings, and then these panels and talking about how to do it and how to find the money. And what I came back with, they're like, "What'd you learn?" I'm like, "Just find the money. It's all
Yeah.
about the money." That's all we did was talk about money for 3 days because it's about getting that money. And you have that status, get every dollar you can, man, and make your movie or your TV show, whatever you're going to do it as, or a podcast, whatever you're going to do that as. Use every asset you got and go for it, man. Because you got it. You got it in front of you, and that's the world we live in now. You know, that's what we do now.
It's all about timing too. You
Right.
know, during that time, you know, and you probably know this, that 99% of writing is actually thinking about what you're going to write.
Well, I'm at the point writing wise, I just sit down and it just happens. Every
Really?
Yeah, I just
So
well,
so just like you're like, you know, it's
if
like
you tell me you want a fire department story and give me even close to an outline or an idea, I'll give you 10 pages by tomorrow morning.
you're fucking hired, bro.
Thanks.
No,
Well,
that's I,
that go ahead, go ahead.
No, I mean, because it took 7 years from start to finish to the point where I got to where it was ready. But I wrote most of it within a year because it grew. It was supposed to be a movie, but the book was too big because it's based on a book. And the guy, Chris Edwards, who wrote the book, worked with my dad at, I think it was Engine. Oh my God, I'm getting things mixed up. It was Engine 81 in the Bronx, Ladder 46.
Great.
Damn, I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but I'm 100% sure that's true. Let's go with 99.9. But anyway, he and my dad officially really met because the timing was odd. My dad transferred there about 6 or 7 months before 9/11 happened from Brooklyn. And
Wow.
he transferred to the Bronx just to literally save like 2 hours of commute because it was like between the traffic and upstate, it was just like
Sure.
it just like it got to the point where it's like, how the hell you leave at 4 o'clock in the morning and you get there at 7 and it's only like right down it was too much, something like that. But anyway, he ended up meeting him on 9/11, and there's a whole story to how Chris was even there on 9/11 because he was injured, and it was back and forth trying to save his career. And he ended up writing a book to give to his kids. And then in 2016, after the book was published, he gave it to my dad for, just as a benefit. He was signing autographs for the book, sharing the book, raising money for whatever he was raising money for at the time. And that's what he does. He just uses the book to raise money for like a widow, a guy who died, a family thing, FDNY Foundation, just something like he didn't like, he doesn't have any money from this. And he has thousands of books across the United States that were sold. But I asked him if I could try to convert this into a movie. And I did, but I missed out way too much of the book where it's just like, it's not enough. And I just realized, like, when you kind of look at the firefighter stories and it's like, after 20 years of 9/11 almost, at that point it was 15. It's like, why not tell the whole story?
Right.
And I
Right.
think, and right now it looks like I could shape it anywhere from 5 to 6 seasons.
But you know the whole thing, writing's rewriting. That's what you're doing now. Went from book to this, now you're rewriting it and you're discovering. The more you rewrite, the more you're going to discover. It's really good.
Tell me about it, because it just kept growing and filling in, and
Yep.
now I have so much with the pilot, and the audio presentation is kind of I adapted the pilot and extended it a little bit because now it's more of an audio book, but it makes perfect sense. And I didn't get I didn't get any bad reviews about it, but people want to know what happens next. Well,
And that's half the battle.
yeah.
That's half the battle. If they want to know more, you got gold. That's what you got to work on. That's my thing. And you know, one of the things I learned, a friend of mine reads a lot of scripts out west, and she said, "Your scripts are page turners." I'm like, "Well, that's important, right?" She goes, "Yeah, because half of the other scripts I never finish. Your scripts I finish." So that was the first thing. I'm like, okay, write it like a page turner and make sure to turn the page. And then I learned more and more. I still go to school for this. Right now, I'm working with Bobby's daughter, Amanda Moresco, who's a great writing coach. Her online thing is called Writing by Structure or Writing X Structure, but it's called Writing by Structure. And she does a great clubhouse still on Fridays. And you get it for free, and we talk about writing. And I'm taking her 16-week screenplay course again because I had such a good experience the last time, but I'm learning more because it's all about the hero's walk. I know the other ones. You know, I knew McKee because I had to learn McKee. I started to learn all the way up to Save the Cat, but I never learned Aristotle's Hero's Walk and Joseph.
Never heard of it.
Oh, you got to look at it. Google it, look it all up. It's the basis of all modern drama, and it started with the Greeks.
I probably know this.
You do. No, you do, because you've seen Star Wars. The first Star Wars especially is the hero.
Not about it's the hero's journey, not so much the
Or
origin.
the hero's journey, right? Either or, right? Journey.
All right, so I probably just never connected it, but I should know it because what I've noticed is that in a lot of the writing I like to do is a lot of overlapping and in orchestration of the exact same technique, but it's not a broad scope. And that's why I broke this down into TV series, because you could still have those little curves
right
where they overlap into each other.
Sure.
And they just continue down the line where it's not just one thing, but they could all interweave, sort of like a seamstress is putting together a complete and total grand design. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's the exact same technique, but it's smaller.
Yeah, and it's really whatever gets you there. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. But her and I had such a great time. The first script, which was Bedbuggers, and that was a year ago, and it did so well that I'm going to do it again with another idea that we're working on. And it's a course. It's a 16-week course, but I'm still taking it. I'm always in a workshop or in a course, and I'm always throwing it against the wall. Even before doing this today, I just sent a bunch of writing in for a fellowship.
Okay.
Because you have to keep throwing it against the wall. You got to keep learning it, and you got to keep throwing it against the wall. I'm in workshops 3 to 4 times a week. I do the work there. A lot of times that stuff gets produced, whether it gets produced by me or somebody else picks it up. It happens, though. It happens. So that's where I go.
Bro, I can't wait to meet you. Are you coming to the festival?
Yeah, absolutely. I booked it out from work even.
Let's go. I can't.
Yeah, well, I'll be there, probably be there the whole day. That's the 25th, right?
Yeah. Oh, did you buy all the, because somebody bought a full day pass, and I don't have a way of actually like giving people like a package because of the way the tickets are set up.
No, I didn't buy the ticket yet because I want to also, what's the opening of the festival?
The opening?
Yeah.
Oh, that we have an 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the 25th, and then I got a 12 to approximately 10 o'clock on the 26th.
So I'll probably be there, yeah, but there's no party the night before or anything.
Yeah, on the 24th.
Oh yeah, that's why I got to get the ticket for that. I wanted to.
There's no ticket. You just walk. You just go. Like,
yeah. Okay.
Like, it's just an RSVP, so we give the restaurant a heads up on how many people they're expecting. So
yeah.
But yeah, I
Yes.
think 60 people RSVP'd and there's just a lot of maybes. And like, I'm sure people are just going to
Oh
walk.
yeah, no, I'm going. There's no way. I love going to the opening night. I love meeting everybody. I love putting the postcard together with the information and handing it out as advertising. I go from the opening and try to be there for the closing. I don't always make the closing because of my job. It's never,
I'm
I
probably gonna, I don't know if I'll get there at 7 because I got work, but I'll probably get there at 10 and I still got to figure out like, yeah, I was just like, guys, no, sorry, Phil, working, but I'll be there at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at the latest. If you still
I
want
see, man, you're
to.
doing it. You're still doing dude, you're the firefighter. You're still the firefighter. Put the fire out.
I tried to be a firefighter and I just missed out a huge opportunity. I'm bitter, I'm resentful, and I'm pissed, but I'm gonna put.
You wouldn't be the person you are, and you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. Trust me, I live with you. I had that opportunity to be a cop.
That's my ego, I guess, because I just
Right.
it's not that I wanted it easy, but I knew I could. But the thing is, I knew I could do it. You know?
When after my dad died, they offered. It said, "Have him get in shape and run, and we'll definitely make him a cop." And like, no, he went another way. He doesn't want it now. Like what? But I ended up doing it anyway. I ended up taking the dispatch job. So
Well, I got a good cop show, dude.
I got to tell you, I don't have the ins to sell shows.
Well, we got the network. It's really like you mean sell the idea to be like and
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, first of all, they hardly ever read them, but I thought coming out of that whole experience, I couldn't, like, that was the crazy thing about the industry. I couldn't even get an agent I still don't have an agent. I still don't have representation. I'm doing this myself. I do
Right.
this myself and I get it in front of people I'm still that salesman going door to door and I'm still looking for representation on that. Every time I get close or get something I think is sellable, they don't call back. The agents just, it's just not there
Well,
yet.
well, all these stories are printed, like they're ready.
Oh, yeah.
So it's timing, bro. I mean, you're
Oh,
not like
yeah, yeah. No, I don't sweat that. I don't sweat that anymore. But I do. I focus now. I'm focused on theater because I could get that produced.
sure.
And I'm focused on films.
Well,
And
we also got a stage so we could workshop everything.
yeah, and that's what I do. Let me know.
Even the small scenes from movies, we could workshop every single one.
Let me know. I do this stuff all the time to do it, just to get it out there.
This is great. Like this is one of my like I don't have a favorite podcast, but this one I truly
Well, I'm
enjoy.
glad, man, because here's the thing. We end up, in the end, we're all war buddies in this. You always end up like
Facts.
war buddies. We've all gone through this one way or another. We all got war stories. We all got scratches on our back, and not the good ones. We all got that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
We've all been through the field together. And there's no such thing as competition in the sense of it's either my day or it's not. And that's the way I look, because there could be 100 scripts on the table, they're only picking one. Could be 25 scripts on the table, they're only picking one. There could be 3 scripts on the table, and they're still only picking one. And it's either
I choose all of you, like like a Pokemon master because like I believe I believe in the podcast play format. I believe the audience has the right to choose what type of movies they want to see. If they can donate to the production, then we have the resources to actually do
Right.
it. We have the network to actually create it. And if it's a matter of whether or not it goes on a streaming platform or limited edition DVDs, there are options out there, but it's literally about now just execution.
Right. And it is. And it's a lot of do it yourself. That's how the OGs came about. So the 3 actors there.
I honestly, like, I know we didn't get to talk about it, but honestly, I thought it was fun.
Good. Those guys, but real quick, those guys are 3 retiree age people that are still working as actors in LA. And the scripts that they get offered from our group of filmmakers are always death, dementia, lost a partner. And I said to them, I'm like, they actually said, they're like, we get all these depressing scripts. I'm like, what about a revenge script? Would you like a revenge script? And they're like, what do you got in mind? I'm like, well, there's this epidemic of burglaries where somebody knocks on your door, and while you're talking to the young girl that broke down, they're robbing your house. I said, and every once in a while they catch them. I said, and I always wanted to see them take revenge. I said, what do you think of this? And I'll just put that plan out there. And that's how this started, where it was just like, hey, we need a script of something else. And we did it in workshops. And I had it workshopped at the Actors Gym. All my workshops did it. And then I went back out there for a weekend to go to Silicon Beach Film Festival in Hollywood. And I said, look, I got 2 days. Let's shoot this. And then Chris, who's the kid in it, the kid who's the burglar, is also my DP guy on that. I've been working with Chris since he got out of high school.
All right.
We went out to Ventura at one of their houses, and we made a movie.
You got a great segment of like New York City Italian-esque storytellers in that segment. It just lucked out that way, and they all kind of had a similar tone.
Cool.
All completely way different. All of them are none of them are the same.
That's the best.
Just like the ensemble of it all just really meshed well together. I think you guys are going to really enjoy each other's work. You're going to do a Q&A.
That's great. Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, if anybody ever wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can go to my website, www, all one word, tomcavanaughwriter.com. And my email is there, or you can just email me at tomcav136@gmail.com. And then I'm on all the socials.
Tom Cavanaugh, ladies and gentlemen. Before we wrap up, I wanted to do one final segment, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. In my early days, I was reading this book called The Right Words at the Right Time, and what I like to do is ask all the guests on the AFC podcast the exact same question all of these men and women in that book were asked, because once upon a time, nobody knew them from Adam, but there just happened to be a common thread where they were all just, throughout their early days, they were given the right words at the right time to just make them just stay in there and keep going. And that's the exact same question I wanted to ask you, Tom. So my question is, has anyone ever given you the right words at the right time that just stuck with you ever since they said it, that got you through everything that you ever encountered, for better or worse, that just got you through it? Or is there anything that you would like to share in your own words for somebody who might need to hear it?
Sylvester Stallone came to Inside the Actor Studio. This didn't make final cut, so it's not in the interview. It's on the cutting room floor somewhere. But my question was, Mr. Stallone, do you have any advice for a young man that wants to go to Hollywood and be a writer after he gets out of here? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, don't quit. They're going to tell you to quit. They're going to ask you to quit. They're going to hope you quit. Do not quit. And that was it. And every day that I would wake up in LA and go, God damn, I miss my family. I miss this. I miss that. Don't quit. It's that simple. And he's right. And look at where he is. So I can let this out. The guy that's his co-star is the guy that's playing the lead role in my off-Broadway play. If you watch Tulsa Kings, the guy that plays Vincent, because I didn't quit. I finally got somebody who's like, I love this part. I'm going to go all the way with it. And we've been working on it for 2 years. So that's what it is. Don't quit.
That is incredible, man. No, and like Sylvester Stallone has a very special place in my heart, because I got to meet him on the set of Creed. Didn't get to talk to him. I was like, we were, just background actor, being professional, keeping it kosher, being appropriate. And that I got so many stories about that experience. It was nuts. But you're right. He did not quit. He hasn't tapped out. The guy's been through hell and back, but he's still doing it. And
and the Rocky Legend stories are true. He held on to that. Every time they wanted to take it out of his hand, they wanted to pay him, they wanted to make it, but they didn't want to make his terms and keep him as the actor.
Do you like, that's interesting. Like, do you ever think on the other side, it's not their ego, but they got to be realistic sometimes?
Well, I learned in LA what it really is about, and I have to always remember this. They're trying to do the same thing you're doing, but just on the other side of the desk. they're trying to hold their job. They're trying to impress their boss. They're trying to make a splash. So they're making the decisions based on two things: trying to succeed and trying to find that winning combination and capture lightning in a bottle. And that's what it is. It's capturing lightning. Look, if you get a film that works, who is it? Oh, the guy, I used to know his name. The guy that made the original version of Arthur.
Arthur?
The original Arthur.
Oh my God.
With what's his name?
Minnelli.
And Dudley Moore, right?
Yeah.
Minnelli, Dudley Moore. He makes it. It's the #1 film. It's doing really great. And somebody in his family sees him like this, sitting at the table, looking depressed with his head down. And they say to him, like, why are you so upset? You got the greatest film. You got a hit film. You're going to get to make more films. This is your dream come true. Why are you so upset? He goes, I don't know how I did it.
Oh.
Because it's capturing lightning in a bottle. If you look at that film especially, it's a beautiful film, down to the opening shot, to the last shot, to the music, to the performances. It all came together. That's lightning in a bottle. And some editor didn't take it apart on him. The editor actually made it even better, right? So if you think about all the creativity that went into building that cathedral, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's one of many movies, but that's what happens with movies especially. With a play, it's different. You know, in a play, it's still a collaboration to a point, but it's my vision in a play as a playwright. But still, I trust them enough to put their pieces into the puzzle. But in a film, it's a real collaboration. I asked Spielberg when he came, I said, light is so important. How do you make light is almost always another character, especially in Schindler's List? And he goes,
yeah.
And he just said to me, he said, you know, we have a great team. We have great meetings about it. I have good people that know how to do this and do their job. We all love to think it did come out of him 100%, but he gave it to them. He goes, no, I got good people for that do great work. That's lightning in the bottle. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to capture lightning in a bottle. And nobody on the fire department can do that. Only you could do that. That's the truth. Only you could do what you're doing right now. You're capturing lightning in a bottle, and that's what it's about. It's the only way I capture. Those people in that picture behind me, that's lightning in a bottle. That just happened to happen because the guy in the yellow shirt said, Tom, you should shoot it this way. That's a great picture. I didn't think of shooting it that angle, but he put his piece into the making of it, and I love it. It has made me happy. That's lightning in a bottle.
God bless you, Tom Cavanaugh. This was one of
You
my
too, my friend. Thank you for having me, man.
This was wonderful.
Great.
I'm so excited to meet you.
Hey,
Thank you all for listening.
In all seriousness, anything you're working on and I can come out there and help you. I got friends in Astoria that we all work. There's a writing group, Naked Angels, Tuesday night in New York. We all bring our writing to. That's a whole other thing I'll share with you. It's a freebie. Come hang out with us.
Oh, good, because we're gonna have we have a writer's room digitally, but now we got a space where in Astoria we could actually rendezvous and just start to like really do the nitty gritty.
Let me know, bro. I'll come out as long as, like you said, I work 10-hour days, but I work, you know, the shift. I work 4 10-hour days. I'm done by 5 o'clock, and then I'm off for 4 days, like today. So, and I'm going to a writer's room at 4 o'clock. So I gotta go.
Oh, have a great time. I'm heading to a Christmas party. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to follow us on Astoria Filmmakers Club on Instagram. If you haven't already, we do have a Facebook group, both private and public, for a fan page. But if you are a filmmaker, just Google our group page, Astoria Filmmakers Club, and join the group. We'll see you at the Triborough Film Festival. Like, follow, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Look in the descriptions. We got all the information out there, guys. And don't forget to go to www.astoriafilmmakers.org for all information. Inquire, text, call, write, email, you name it. We're going to respond. And it's only a matter of time. You got to either choose. Either you want to do this or you don't. So it's your choice. And Tom, this was great, man. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, and I'll leave you with this. Wherever you go, in all that you do, always remember to never forget community, creativity, and joy. Ciao for now, baby.
Thank you, man. Have a great holiday. I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will. Merry Christmas.
So long.
Ciao.